let me ask you something personal. Do your mornings ever feel heavier than they used to? Like your body is running on low power before the day has even started? Maybe your energy fades too quickly, or intimacy feels more like a memory than a natural part of life. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many men after 60 quietly wrestle with slower circulation, fading stamina, and that nagging sense that their spark is slipping away. But here's the truth most people don't talk about. Your body isn't broken. It isn't simply age stealing your energy. It's about what your body has been missing. And surprisingly, the answer isn't in a pill bottle or some miracle supplement advertised at midnight. It can start with something as simple as what's on your plate. Today, we're going to explore 3 everyday fruits. Yes, ordinary fruits you can find at any market that can help restore circulation, recharge your vitality, and even bring back that deep sense of confidence in yourself and your relationships. Now, before we dive in, I want you to think of this less like a lecture and more like a story, because I'm going to share real examples of men who found a way back to feeling alive again. Not through drastic diets or gimmicks, but through small, daily changes. Along the way, I'll add my own reflections on why these shifts work and how you can realistically bring them into your own life. So here's how we'll move forward. First, we'll uncover the fruit that acts like nature's spark plug, opening up blood vessels and giving your system the flow it needs. Then we'll talk about the colorful allies that fine-tune your body's response, boosting stamina and clarity. Finally, we'll reveal the quiet protectors that guard your health long-term, keeping your progress steady and sustainable. Each step connects to the next, like building a rhythm for your body. And by the end, you'll see that this isn't about chasing youth, it's about reclaiming energy, intimacy, and purpose in a way that feels natural and real. Part 1. The Awakening. Why energy and intimacy fade after 60, and why it's not the end. A slow morning, a familiar story. Picture this. The sun is peeking through your curtains, the world is waking up, but your body feels like it's carrying an extra 50 pounds of invisible weight. You sit on the edge of your bed, waiting for energy to arrive, only to realize it's already behind schedule. For some men, that heaviness lingers into the day, showing up as sluggish afternoons, restless nights, and quiet disappointments when intimacy doesn't unfold the way it once did. If this resonates, pause here and recognize something important. You're not alone. These are not rare experiences, nor are they signs that your life force is gone. They're signs of circulation slowing, of energy pathways becoming less efficient, and of your body signaling that it needs better fuel. Beyond age, the missing link. Now, the easy explanation is to blame age. We live in a culture that almost worships youth, so when energy slips, the story we're told is, that's just how it is, you're getting older. But the truth is more nuanced. Yes, aging affects your body, but the decline is not written in stone. Much of what we call aging is actually a reflection of missing nutrients, reduced circulation, and habits that slowly chip away at vitality. Think of it like an old house. Over time, the wiring stiffens, the pipes narrow, the paint fades. But the structure itself? It can last decades, centuries, if cared for, updated, and nourished. Your body is the same. What looks like wear and tear can often be reversed or at least slowed with the right inputs. Why fruits? Why now? So why are we talking about fruit? It sounds almost too simple. We're used to solutions that come in the form of pills, treatments, or complicated programs. But here's the refreshing truth. Nature has been quietly engineering solutions long before modern pharmaceuticals existed. 3 specific fruits, watermelon, berries, and citrus, carry natural compounds that act like a repair team for your circulation and energy systems. They don't mask problems with quick fixes. They address them at the root. widening vessels, protecting them from damage, and teaching your body to respond the way it was designed to. That's not just my opinion. It's backed by decades of nutrition science and reinforced by stories of real men who've experienced these changes firsthand. My own perspective. When I first encountered this research, I'll admit, I was skeptical. Could something as ordinary as fruit really stand against the challenges of aging? But then I started seeing it in practice, not just in medical studies, but in conversations with men who felt the shift. What stood out wasn't just physical stamina, it was the emotional renewal, the confidence in their step, the brightness in their eyes, the warmth returning to their relationships. It reminded me that vitality isn't measured only by blood pressure or stamina charts. It's measured by how alive you feel in your own skin. So, here's how we'll journey forward in this series. 1. The spark plug fruit. We'll begin with the one that gets your blood vessels open and your circulation flowing, like unclogging pipes that have been narrowing for years. 2. The fine-tuning fruits. Next, we'll explore the colorful allies that don't just improve flow, but also sharpen how your vessels respond, because stamina isn't about speed alone, it's about rhythm. 3. The protector fruits. Finally, we'll reveal the quiet guardians that protect your arteries from stress, ensuring your progress lasts for years, not just weeks. Each of these fruits has its own story, science, and impact. Each will be paired with real-life examples of men who discovered how powerful these small choices could be. And between those stories, I'll share reflections, why these foods work, how to make them practical in your daily routine, and why consistency matters more than intensity. A story that might sound like yours. Before we dive into the first fruit, let me share a story that might mirror parts of your own life. A friend of mine, let's call him Michael, turned 63 last year. He was a man who once prided himself on never missing a beat, running his own business, traveling often, keeping up with his grandkids. But in the last few years, he began noticing something. Mornings were harder, energy waned by afternoon, and intimacy, well, he found himself making excuses, even though he still loved his wife deeply. At first, he brushed it off. I'm just getting older. But what really bothered him wasn't just the physical change, it was the emotional weight. He felt less capable, less connected, less himself. When he finally opened up, what struck me was this. He wasn't chasing youth. He didn't want to be 30 again. He wanted to feel reliable in his own body, to trust his energy, to show up fully for his life. That's what this is really about. Not turning back the clock, but regaining the rhythm of energy, confidence, and intimacy that makes life vibrant at any age. So, how do we start? We start with the fruit that lays the foundation, the one that scientists jokingly call nature's little blue pill. It's not exotic, not expensive, and chances are you've enjoyed it many summers without realizing what it was doing inside your body. And that fruit is watermelon. Part 2. Watermelon, nature's spark plug for circulation and vitality. Why watermelon deserves a second look. When most people think of watermelon, they picture summer picnics, sticky fingers, and kids spitting seeds across the yard. It's refreshing, yes, but rarely do we think of it as a powerful health tool. Yet buried inside that familiar red, or sometimes yellow, flesh lies one of the most potent natural compounds for circulation: citrulline. Citrulline is an amino acid that your body transforms into arginine, which then boosts nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide is like the master switch for your blood vessels. It tells them to relax, widen, and allow more blood to flow. Think of your blood vessels as garden hoses. When they're stiff or narrow, water or blood struggles to pass through. When they're flexible and open, everything flows easily. This is why researchers often call watermelon nature's little blue pill. Unlike synthetic fixes, though, watermelon works with your body, not against it. No harsh chemicals, no sudden spikes, no long-term risks. Just a natural, gentle way of restoring the flow your body was always designed to have. A real-life story, Kennedy's turnaround. Let me tell you about Kennedy, a man in his late 50s who worked construction most of his life. He was strong, tough and reliable, the kind of man who never backed down from a challenge. But as the years passed, he noticed a change. By late afternoon, his body felt drained. His once steadfast drive for intimacy faded. And worse, he found himself quietly making excuses with his wife, not because love had gone, but because he feared disappointment. Kennedy didn't want to rely on expensive prescriptions. He wanted something natural, something sustainable. When he came across the idea of using watermelon, he was skeptical but curious. He started simple, 1 to 2 cups of fresh watermelon every morning. No magic rituals, no drastic diets, just consistency. By the 3rd week, something shifted. His energy no longer crashed in the afternoons. By the 6th week, he felt his confidence returning, not just in intimacy, but in how he carried himself through the day. He even dropped 8 pounds without trying, simply because better circulation improved hydration and reduced his cravings. Kennedy calls watermelon his daily dose of vitality. And his story isn't unique. Thousands of men have rediscovered their spark with something as simple as a fruit they'd overlooked. My commentary: why this works beyond the bedroom. Here's what I love about watermelon. It's not just about intimacy, although that's often the motivation that gets men started. The ripple effect goes far beyond. Heart health improves. Watermelon is rich in lycopene, yes, even more than tomatoes, which protects against cardiovascular strain. Inflammation decreases. Regular intake soothes blood vessels that have been under stress for decades. Energy stabilizes. Better circulation means oxygen reaches muscles and the brain more efficiently, reducing that midday fog. Mood lifts. Energy and confidence are intertwined. When the body flows, the mind follows. Think about it this way. Watermelon isn't just repairing pipes, it's restoring rhythm to your entire system. How to use watermelon in daily life. So, how can you make this practical? Here's what I often suggest. Morning boost. Eat 1 to 2 cups of fresh watermelon after waking. This helps jumpstart circulation when your blood flow is naturally sluggish. Juice option. Fresh watermelon juice works too, but skip store-bought versions with added sugar. Go yellow. Yellow watermelon contains up to 4 times more citrulline than red. If you see it, grab it. Consistency is king. It's not about eating a whole melon once in a while, it's about a steady rhythm. Think of it like brushing your teeth for your arteries. And yes, a quick safety note here. If you're diabetic, keep an eye on portion sizes since watermelon has natural sugars. If you're on blood pressure medication or managing kidney issues, talk with your doctor before making it a daily habit. Historical and cultural perspective. What fascinates me is that this isn't new knowledge. For thousands of years, men in parts of Africa have used watermelon as a natural vitality food. Long before modern science confirmed citrulline's role, traditional wisdom already recognized its power. Sometimes the answers we seek in laboratories are hidden in plain sight in the foods that cultures have relied on for centuries. Expanding beyond Kennedy's story. I also spoke with another man, let's call him Robert, who added watermelon to his routine at age 67. For him, the shift wasn't just physical, it was relational. His wife noticed his improved mood, his laughter returning at the dinner table, his willingness to plan weekend trips again. When he shared his secret, she laughed. All this time, it was just fruit? But beneath the laughter was relief, because it wasn't about chasing miracles, it was about feeling connected again. Stories like Kennedy's and Robert's remind us that what's at stake here isn't just health metrics. It's the way we show up in our relationships, the energy we bring into our families, the sense of being fully alive in the moments that matter most. Transition, laying the foundation. So here's where we stand. Watermelon lays the foundation. It gets your blood vessels open, your circulation flowing, your system hydrated and energized. It's the spark plug, the thing that flips the switch back on. But flow alone isn't enough. Imagine unclogging pipes, but leaving the wiring faulty. Water flows, but the signals aren't tuned. That's where the next group of fruits come in. They don't just support blood flow, they train your vessels to respond better with sharper timing and rhythm.
In other words, if watermelon is the plumber, the next fruits are the electricians, and together they create a system that doesn't just move blood, it moves life. That brings us to part 3, the power of berries.
Part 3. Berries, the fine tuners of blood flow and stamina. The role of responsiveness. By now, we've seen how watermelon acts like the spark plug that gets your circulation flowing again. But flow alone isn't enough. Imagine a river that suddenly swells, but whose channels aren't responsive. The water floods or stagnates. The same goes for your blood vessels. They don't just need more blood, they need to know how to react to that blood flow. That's where berries step in. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, each of these is loaded with compounds called anthocyanins. These pigments give berries their rich, deep colors, and inside the body, they act as protectors and fine-tuners. They repair the delicate inner lining of blood vessels, reduce inflammation, and improve the rhythm by which vessels expand and contract. If watermelon is the plumber clearing the pipes, berries are the electricians making sure the signals get through, ensuring that flow is steady, reliable, and responsive. Science made simple. Research on berries has shown remarkable outcomes. In one study involving over 25,000 men, those who ate berries just 3 to 4 times a week had a 10% lower risk of erectile dysfunction. Pairing berries with light exercise boosted that protection even further, up to 21% lower risk. Beyond intimacy, berries are linked to improved memory, sharper focus, and lower blood pressure. Why? Because anthocyanins don't just sit in the bloodstream, they actively repair. They seal micro tears, calm inflammation, and train vessels to be more elastic. In essence, they reset your vascular reflexes. A story of renewal. David's journey. David, a 62-year-old accountant, had been living with frustration for years. His days were a cycle of fatigue, foggy thinking, and reliance on prescription medications that left him with headaches and dizziness. His intimacy suffered not just from the physical challenges, but from the side effects of the very pills meant to help. One day, tired of the cycle, David made a small change. He began making a smoothie each morning with 1 cup of mixed berries: blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and strawberries. Within 4 weeks, the results were clear. His blood pressure stabilized, his energy no longer crashed midday, his memory felt sharper. Intimacy returned naturally, without side effects. Even his doctor noticed, cutting his medication dose in half at his next appointment. For David, it wasn't about one giant leap, it was about one small, consistent habit. My commentary: why responsiveness matters. Here's why David's story matters. Too often, men focus on just getting more blood flow. They think if they can force more circulation, the problem is solved. But that's like flooding a clogged pipe. The water goes nowhere useful. The true measure of vascular health is responsiveness. How quickly and effectively vessels adjust to changing needs. That's what berries do. They don't force your body to act, they restore your body's ability to respond. And when that responsiveness returns, the benefits are felt everywhere. Clearer thinking, warmer hands and feet, better endurance during activity, and yes, stronger intimacy. How to add berries into your life. Practicality matters, so here's how you can start. 1 cup daily. Aim for about 1 cup of mixed berries. Frozen berries are just as effective as fresh, and even freeze-dried can work if you want shelf-stable options. Smoothies. Blend them into yogurt or milk for a simple, nutrient-rich start to the day. Snacks. Keep them handy as a snack instead of chips or sweets. Breakfast topping. Sprinkle over oats or cereal.
And a quick safety reminder, berries are generally safe, but if you're on blood thinners, consult your doctor since berries can amplify their effect. For dietetics, berries are among the lowest fruits on the glycemic index, but it's still wise to monitor blood sugar. Beyond intimacy, whole body benefits. It's tempting to see berries as just an intimacy aid, but their power stretches far beyond that. Let's widen the lens. Brain health? Studies show berries can improve memory and delay cognitive decline. Think of anthocyanins as protectors, not just of vessels, but of neurons. Muscle recovery. Improved circulation means oxygen reaches muscles faster, aiding recovery after walks, workouts, or even yard work. Immune support. The antioxidants in berries don't just protect vessels, they fight systemic inflammation that can lead to chronic disease. So, in truth, adding berries isn't just about one part of life, it's about protecting and empowering the whole body. Another example, a subtle but powerful shift. Let me share a quieter story. One gentleman, whom I'll call Edward, started adding a bowl of mixed berries to his lunch every day at 70 years old. He didn't notice dramatic changes overnight, but 6 months later, he realized something. His hands and feet were no longer perpetually cold. His stamina during his daily walks improved, and one evening, his wife pointed out that he seemed lighter, more cheerful, less irritable. Sometimes the changes aren't loud, they're subtle, steady, and profoundly life-enhancing. That's the beauty of working with your body instead of against it. Commentary on pharmaceutical contrast. It's worth pausing here to make a comparison. Pharmaceutical companies spend billions creating synthetic drugs to manage circulation or intimacy challenges. These drugs often work, but they manage symptoms, not causes. They don't retrain vessels, they force them. Berries, by contrast, restore. They rebuild. They work at the cellular level, reinforcing the body's natural rhythms. This is why their benefits compound over time, not wear off when the pill does. Transition, the power of synergy. So far, we have watermelon as the plumber and berries as the electricians. One clears the flow, the other tunes the signals. But even this powerful combination isn't enough for the long game, because once vessels are open and responsive, they also need protection. Think of it like building a house. You've laid the foundation and wired the systems, but without protection from the weather, time will wear it down again. That's where the final group of fruits comes in, those rich in vitamin C and flavonoids that guard, shield, and sustain your progress. That brings us to part 4, citrus fruits, the protectors of circulation and energy.
Part 4, citrus fruits, the protectors of circulation and long-term vitality. Why protection matters? By now we've built a strong picture. Watermelon clears the pipes, opening circulation. Berries fine-tune responsiveness, teaching vessels to expand and contract properly. But there's still one missing piece. Think of it like building a house. You've poured the foundation and wired the rooms, but without a roof, rain and wind will eventually undo your progress. In the body, that weather comes in the form of oxidative stress, the slow, invisible wear and tear caused by free radicals. And if left unchecked, it can chip away at all the progress you've made. This is where citrus fruits step in. Oranges, grapefruits, lemons, and limes act as the protective shield, not forcing quick results, but sustaining them. The science of citrus. What makes citrus so effective? It's not just vitamin C, though that's part of it. Citrus fruits bring a team of compounds that work together in ways no supplement bottle can replicate. Vitamin C protects nitric oxide from breaking down, preserving the vessel-relaxing benefits you gained from watermelon. Hesperidin, a flavonoid abundant in oranges and grapefruits that strengthens small vessels, microcirculation, and reduces blood pressure. Bioflavonoids, these compounds enhance vitamin C absorption by up to 35%, while carrying circulation-boosting effects of their own. One study showed that just 2 weeks of daily orange juice intake measurably improved artery responsiveness, proof that these aren't vague, feel-good nutrients, but tangible, trackable changes in vascular health. A real-life story. Thomas, the retired teacher. Thomas, a 65-year-old retired teacher, had already incorporated watermelon and berries into his routine. His mornings were better, his stamina improving, but by late afternoon, he still hit a wall. His lab tests showed elevated inflammation and mild hypertension, signals that his progress was at risk. That's when citrus entered the picture. Each morning, Thomas drank a small glass of fresh orange juice. In the evening, he added half a grapefruit before dinner. Within weeks, his afternoon slumps disappeared, his inflammation markers normalized, and his blood pressure dropped to levels he hadn't seen in decades. For Thomas, citrus wasn't about fireworks, it was about consistency, about protecting the gains he had made with watermelon and berries so they could last. My commentary: the quiet power of citrus. What I love about citrus is how subtle its impact feels. Unlike watermelon's quick energy boost or berries' sharp clarity, citrus works in the background. You don't feel it kick in the same way. Instead, you notice that your energy feels steady across the day, your stamina more reliable, your moods less prone to crashing. That's because citrus is less of a performance enhancer and more of a maintenance crew. It doesn't force results, it preserves them. It's not the drummer or the lead singer in the band, it's the sound engineer who makes sure everything stays in harmony. Practical ways to use citrus. Here's how to make citrus part of your rhythm. Morning kickoff, a medium orange or a small glass of fresh orange juice with breakfast. Evening support, half a grapefruit before dinner to stabilize nighttime circulation. Other options? Add lemon to your water during the day or incorporate lime juice into meals. A few cautions. Grapefruit can interfere with certain medications, especially statins, blood pressure, or anxiety meds. Always check with your doctor first. Diabetics should monitor sugar intake. Though citrus has a low glycemic load, the natural sugars still count. Avoid processed juices with added sugar or preservatives. Whole fruit gives you fiber, hesperidin, and bioflavonoids, things bottled juice often strips away. Another story. Quiet transformation. There's also the case of George, a 70-year-old grandfather. He wasn't struggling with intimacy per se, but with energy. He felt like afternoons stole half his day. Naps became unavoidable. At his daughter's suggestion, he began having a fresh orange and a handful of berries at lunch. After 3 weeks, he noticed he was still awake and alert at 4 p.m., helping his grandkids with homework instead of dozing in a chair. This small shift rekindled not just energy, but purpose. George began planning projects again, walking daily, even joining a community singing group. And it all started with the consistency of citrus as a steadying force. Beyond circulation, citrus as daily defense. Citrus doesn't just support intimacy or stamina, it strengthens whole body resilience. Immune support. Vitamin C reduces oxidative stress and boosts defense against infections. Joint health. Anti-inflammatory compounds reduce pain and stiffness. Cognitive clarity. Better circulation plus antioxidant protection help preserve memory and focus. The lesson here is profound. Citrus is about long-term insurance. It's what allows the quick wins of watermelon and berries to become lasting lifestyle shifts. And with that, we step into the final act, Part 5, bringing the fruits together into a daily rhythm for lasting energy, confidence, and connection.
Part 5, the rhythm of renewal, putting it all together. The bigger picture. At this point, you've learned that watermelon, berries, and citrus are more than snacks. They are allies, each playing a unique role in restoring circulation, energy, and intimacy. The watermelon is the plumber, opening blood vessels and jump-starting flow. The berries are the electricians, fine-tuning responsiveness and endurance. The citrus are the protectors, shielding progress and maintaining stability. Together, they form a 24-hour cycle of support, one for the morning, one for midday, one for the evening. a rhythm for your body that echoes the natural cycles of energy you are designed to live with. Why this works? Consistency over intensity. Here's the truth. The men who see results aren't the ones chasing fads or obsessing over miracle cures. They're the ones who embrace consistency. Kennedy with his daily watermelon, David with his morning berry smoothie, Thomas with his steady orange juice and grapefruit routine. None of them overhauled their entire diet overnight. They didn't chase extremes. They simply made one small choice every day. And that small choice, repeated, rewired their energy, their confidence, and their connection. It's not about intensity. It's about rhythm. The ripple effect beyond intimacy. While intimacy is often the motivation that sparks curiosity, the ripple effect is much larger. Sharper memory and focus, because blood flow feeds the brain. Better moods, because confidence and vitality restore emotional balance. Warmer relationships, because when you feel alive, you bring that energy into every interaction. Renewed purpose, because energy fuels action, and action fuels meaning. This is why the simple act of adding fruit is not trivial. It's transformational. A story to close. Rediscovering connection. I want to leave you with the story of Mark, a man who once confessed to me, "I thought my best years were behind me." He felt drained, unmotivated, disconnected. But after 6 weeks of embracing this rhythm, watermelon in the morning, berries at lunch, citrus in the evening, he began to notice something subtle yet powerful. He didn't just move easier, he didn't just think clearer, he started showing up again for his wife, his family, and himself. One evening, he told me, he looked across the dinner table and realized he wasn't just eating food, he was sharing energy. He was present again. That, more than anything, is the real gift here. Not the numbers on a chart, not just performance in the bedroom, but the return of connection. Connection to your partner, your purpose, and your own sense of vitality. Practical recap, the daily routine. To make this simple, here's the blueprint you can start tomorrow. Morning, 1 to 2 cups of fresh watermelon or a glass of fresh juice. Midday, 1 cup of mixed berries, fresh, frozen, or freeze-dried. And evening, 1 medium orange or half a grapefruit before dinner. Do this daily. Listen to your body. Adjust for portion sizes if you're managing diabetes or medications, but keep the rhythm alive. Life lesson. You're not chasing youth, you're claiming life. Let me say this clearly. You're not chasing youth. You're not trying to be 30 again. You're supporting the man you are now with clarity, dignity, and renewed power. Because when circulation slows, so does everything else. Mood, energy, intimacy, even purpose. But when circulation improves, life itself improves. You don't just manage symptoms, you reclaim function. And with that function comes confidence, connection, and presence. This isn't about turning back the clock, it's about turning on the light. So here's my challenge to you. Start tomorrow. Add these 3 fruits into your rhythm: morning, midday, evening. Do it for 1 week, then another. Notice the shifts. Write them down. Share them with someone you trust. And if you feel the spark returning, don't keep it to yourself. Share this knowledge, because too many men assume decline is inevitable. It isn't. Renewal is possible, and sometimes it begins with something as simple as what's on your plate.